Deal podcast.
Okay, hello everybody, welcome to The Real Deal, episode 2. It's actually April the 1st today, can you believe it or not, Oskar?
Yeah.
Yeah, the day of pranking. Were you pranked today at all?
No, I wasn't actually. No.
Oh gosh, that's not good.
It's isolation for you, isn't it?
Yeah, my brother came down today to visit, so that's good.
Was that a prank?
Well, it's a bit of a prank, because he's not that nice, but that doesn't matter. He's okay. Anyway.
Did he get stopped by the police?
No, he didn't get stopped by the police. He came on of his own accord because he drove down. It was very fine. But anyway, how's your day been?
Yeah, mine's been okay. Not done that much today. Just been chilling, standard isolation style. Yeah.
I guess mine's been the same. I mean, I've actually been given the first bit of college work that I've not doing a long time. So today we've been doing some games industry stuff, which is very fun. Where was it that you were going to university again?
Aberystwyth in Wales.
Aberystwyth in Wales?
Yes.
Oh, so you'll be kind of near me. We could probably get a train to see each other.
Yeah, trains to Aberystwyth are interesting. There are trains. There is a station. It's the end of the line. Yeah, I'm sure we can.
I mean, considering my university is literally just across the road from the train station there, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And we've got the new BBC building there.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Enough chatter about us. I think the audience wants to hear about our new topic, which is editing. The editing process between you and me. So that's basically an intermediate approach versus an amateur approach.
No, I thought you were going to say advanced.
It's...
I sound pretty advanced.
No, amateur. Because I'd say... I mean, because I learned all the steps of my editing, like via education, whereas from what you've told me, it's been mainly learn as you go, no pre-education standard.
Well, exactly, yeah. Mine's been very much sort of learn on the job. I've been making videos for as long as I can remember, really, and editing, and it's all very, I've taught myself absolutely everything. So yeah, I suppose I am an amateur in that sense. But yeah, I don't know. What do you use to edit, Jack?
Well, as a film student, so Cirencester College, but I'm no longer there. As a film student, I've used many editing programs, but I'd say probably the one to kick me off in terms of the editing direction, I would say, would have to be iMovie.
Yeah, iMovie? Well, that's one I haven't heard before. I wasn't expecting that.
It's not one you've heard before, but it was the first... actually, no, that's a lie. It's not the first one, because if I was going film point of view, yeah, that's the first one. But if I'm on about via my whole YouTube career, I would say the first editing piece of software would be the one that you introduced me to, which is Corel Video Studio. Yeah.
Well, I started with Windows Movie Maker, as all the greats did, back a long time ago, and that was okay. It was pretty good for what it is and everything, and it came through with the computer. One day I was just messing about on the computer and was like, oh, what's this, Movie Maker? And then before you know it, I'd made some ace movies. And then, of course, I thought, well, I'm going to need a proper software. I started looking at the different options, and this one that you mentioned, Corel Video Studio, seemed like a good option, and it worked really well for me to begin with. It cost about, I think, 60 quid or something when I bought it, and it's a one-time purchase thing, so it's pretty good. And it's been okay. It has crashed a few times. The new update, which I did actually pay extra for, you had to pay to update, it was a bit of a letdown, to be honest, and I have been trying to get hold of Corel sort of tutorial services, the blokes, in Peru or whatever, who help you do the computer stuff. I've been trying to get in touch with them because it's been messing me around a bit, crashing, and some bits have been failing. It's just not been how it used to be, and not, it's just not how you'd hope it to be, and it's not really up to standard, especially considering I paid for it. But recently at my job, which I've had the last year, we've been using Premiere Pro because it's on the computer, and I tell you, it's such a nice software to use, Premiere. And to take a break from Video Studio and being able to use Premiere, it's so like relaxing on the mind, because the software you feel like when using Premiere, it's kind of guessing everything you want to do just before you do it. So, it will automatically sync up music and stuff and different video sounds, which you don't notice if you only use Premiere, because it just does it. But I've noticed it because Video Studio seems to do the opposite. It's like trying to avoid syncing them or something. So yeah, I do like Premiere. Such a shame that it costs such an insanely large amount of money, and the fact that it's a monthly charge as well. I just can't afford it. So Adobe have let everyone down by doing that.
I mean, obviously there are the differences between many editing pieces of software. I mean, for instance, there are many free versions out there. There are many very expensive versions out there, but you have to kind of go with what you've got. And I guess the main difference between Corel Video Studio and Premiere Pro, like you said, they kind of work like in almost opposite directions, is the fact that Corel, I guess, wants to challenge you. So it's like it puts these obstacles in your way, so you have to kind of come up with ways of finding solutions, essentially. And that's, I guess that's what Corel Video Studio is trying to do, is kind of make you come up with creative ways of getting around certain problems that you could come up with.
Well, perhaps. I mean, I would just put it down to it not being as well written as Premiere, and Adobe and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Video Studio is good for what it is and the money it costs and everything, and you can do a huge amount on there. It's not Premiere Pro, and it's not up to the same sort of standard as Premiere, which is obviously used by TV companies and stuff. So it's a very different kettle of fish to what Video Studio are aiming for, which is just home movie making. But yeah, I have noticed that I've got updates, and it's sort of gone backwards in terms of its, reliability and everything, which has really let me down, really. But I think the main issue is I don't think they're specifically trying to make everything difficult for you. I think it's more of a case of Premiere is a professional software for making films, whereas Video Studio is an amateur software.
Well, I guess, and that's why you've come such a long way. I mean, Premiere Pro, it's like made and created by Adobe, the Creative Suite. They're designed to be intuitive. They're not just designed to make life difficult for yourself, and that's why they made such an investment into those programs, is because they wanted to make industry or media people's lives so much easier by allowing us to be able to use different softwares such as Photoshop, Premiere Pro, or what I'm using now, Adobe Audition and Premiere Pro, and being able to create a workflow which is beneficial to you, essentially.
That's the thing, that's the problem, and they know that. They know that everything they made is extremely easy and is the easiest around and is the best. And that's why they feel like they can charge such absurdly large amounts of money for it on a monthly basis. And don't get me wrong, if I were the CEO of Adobe, I'd be inclined to do exactly the same thing, because think about the money they're raking in, the amount of people who use Photoshop and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it is a lot of money, and it is out of reach for a lot of people because of that. And even the student plan and everything, it's still a good £200 a year or something in the end. And you're only a student for a certain amount of time. And yeah, it's a bit like drugs, really. It's like a gateway drug, and then it sort of grabs you and pulls you in, and then you have to pay the £600 a year for the software after that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are other means of acquiring the software which we dare not speak of, but I mean... Well,
they're sort of pushing people to pirate it and put more effort into pirating it, because they're charging such insanely large amounts of money for it. I haven't pirated it. I haven't got it.
Yeah, but it is insane how easy it is, because like now people have started to develop apps, literally applications, which bypass, because there's a certain code that IDs the application that happens to bypass it, so you end up with the pro version instead of the free trial version, which I guess if you want to go for that route, like it's okay if you're just like kind of messing around and experimenting with it, but it's not good for people like you and me who put it on YouTube, and it's because it kind of counts as it's in the commercial use category, so we have to end up buying the license for it.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's not good for anyone. It is illegal. It's not supporting Adobe and that. I mean, obviously they have enough money as it is, but it's not good for anybody to do that, and it is wrong, and you shouldn't do that if you're listening. But they're sort of asking people to do that by charging so much money for it, really.
But I mean, that is the case. I mean, however, if you are a part of like a institution, let's say you've got a college or you're a university, the likelihood is that you don't have to spend that much money, because they're gonna include it in the package that they offer. Considering that you have to be taught on those programs on a day-to-day basis, it wouldn't surprise me if they gave you a free version of it for you, a professional version, but free, so you don't have to waste lots of money.
But at the end of the day, the university is still paying for that. Though we aren't giving out freebies, as far as I'm aware. They have special packages for educational establishments to buy it, but yeah, it's still not the same, is it?
Pushing Adobe aside, there are obviously other companies, like with Adobe aside, like there are other editing softwares out there, like for example DaVinci Resolve. That's primarily a color grading piece of software, but it's free. It is free, and they've started to incorporate this editing process with it, which I think is a genius plan for it. I mean, the only downside is if you want the most out of that software, you have to kind of buy the Blackmagic products from them. But apart from that, it essentially is an editor, and you get insane color grading abilities alongside it. That is good. Have you ever used a DaVinci Resolve?
I haven't, no. No, I haven't.
Well, those who do want to try it out, it is available for free. Like, all you have to do is just to sign your email, and they just send you a link, really, and it's pretty good.
Great.
However, look, there are other versions as well, so if you still want to go the editing route, I would say Adobe have made a much cheaper option available compared to this one. Like, this one, which I'm about to mention, is only available within the Mac world. This editing program gets to roughly about a total of £360. Bearing in mind, though, once you make this purchase, it is a purchase for life. You own the software. It's not a monthly thing. It's not a subscription. However, they do have that option available to you if you don't have that amount of money available straight away.
Yeah, well, Adobe is £600 a year, every year, an ongoing cost. So, yeah, Adobe's very expensive.
I guess that depends with how many features you want unlocked. Because let's say I was a business.
Well, you can either have one feature for 20 quid, or you can have all of them for, I think it's £60 a month. And if you add it up, it does come to £600 a year.
Okay, fair.
Or 240, presumably, if you got the...
Okay, fair enough. But let's say, like, I was a business and you're looking at a company's point of view, that of course that's going to cost more, because you're buying a license for a whole building's worth of people, potentially. However, with students, they have made it slightly okay, because it's now, as you said, £30 a month. But it depends what kind of Saturday job or just straight up job you have. I guess that could make it very difficult.
Well, if students don't have really any money at all, I mean, if you add the £30 up over the year, that's coming up to quite a lot as well. So, to be honest, I do think it's quite bad.
Quite excessive, you'd say. You'd say it's
too much.
Too much money.
Definitely too much. I mean, £50 a month. That's insane, really. My car costs, maybe it's probably not that much. Maybe around that much in fuel. Probably a bit less though. It's crazy to pay for software.
I guess it's all about how much you really want to get the editing software, because let's say you want to be a filmmaker or you want to be an editor or whatever career path you want in the media industry. I guess this is more of an investment into your potential future job.
Well, I don't know if it is, because you need to earn that money back. And if you never earn that money back, or you can't earn that money back when you're first starting out, then you are making a big loss on that. And if they charge us a little bit less from it, then maybe it would be an investment. But unless you're actually making millions from it, it's not really an investment.
Fair enough. I mean, like, let's say you work for a company who own it, and you're getting paid via that company, then potentially it's putting a certain weight off your shoulders, because you don't have to worry about paying for the software, but you get to use the software and earn a living out of it.
Yeah, well, obviously if you work for a company, that's true, and they're paying the price, then yeah.
Yeah.
But then they're making a loss themselves if they don't get their money back.
I mean, it depends. It depends what the situation is regarding the company and who they have links to, because they could get potential deals out of it. But moving forward, there is a lot of talk about other pieces of software here and there. Another further down the line end one would have to be, and this is more of a cheaper option, is Sony Vegas Pro. Now, I have had my fair share of Sony Vegas in terms of when I had a Windows machine. And Sony Vegas is roughly about, well, it depends which version. So let's say Vegas Media Studio 16 Platinum Edition is about £50, but you own it. So that is a fairly cheap deal for someone you own for life. Obviously, the appearance of the Sony Vegas editing software has adapted over the last few years, so it's gotten a bit more complicated. But the original plain slate version was fairly intuitive, and it's owned by one of the most successful film companies, TV companies, and games development companies in the world, Sony. And they are responsible for developing some of the best cameras out there. What's your opinion? Have you ever come across Sony Vegas Pro before?
No, I haven't, no.
I'd look into it. I mean, it's a good option.
I mean, it sounds good. If it only costs £50 for life, and is it a good standard?
Yeah, it's a good standard. I'm just looking at some of the examples of the footage that they got. It's very good. It accepts cameras from the low end to the very high end. You could use this software and footage from let's say Canon 80D, which is entry level, and it would give off the same result as an RE58 Cineon camera, which is used in high production Hollywood films.
Mm-hmm. But what about the actual editing? Is it is it good as Premiere? Can it compete with Premiere? Is it?
I'd say it can compete with Premiere because it provides the essentials. You've got access to the editing tools you'd need: cutting, fading, blending, transitioning between clips here and there, layering, because it's a linear based editor, color grading, which is what DaVinci Resolve also offers, special effects, so this allows you to add kind of overlaying effects or change the style of your footage, and then there's obviously audio editing, because you're working with audio aside enjoyed from your footage. And then there's the final delivery, which is allowing you to export what you've created as a single file.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds like a standard editor. So, yeah, I'll have a look into it.
It's definitely something for anyone listening to look into. If you want to start out in the editing industry but don't necessarily want to pay the big fee, this could potentially be one for you. The latest version of it is Vegas Pro 17. It's apparently got a faster interactive UI, and also is channeled towards people with creative minds, and it's very intuitive. It allows you to dock windows, save window layouts. So let's say you prefer a certain window look, it allows you to save that as a custom preset, and then you've got access to keyboard shortcut mapping as well. And this is more of a contrast from this editing software, and I would say from my experience working in a edit house, or a post house as they call it in the TV industry, because I worked for a company called Guerrilla Films, which do TV programs like Doctor Who, or is it, I think, Humans, as well as some Welsh programs as well. But when I was there, they used a program called Avid Media Composer Pro. Now, this is supposed to be one of the industry standard pieces of editing software because it was the first. Because there was nothing of its kind at the time, but has been modified in such a way that allows you to learn enough now and basically get the basics down and eventually improve to become a professional editor, especially if you want to dive straight into the industry. Avid Media Composer is the way to go.
I've heard similar, and I have downloaded. They have a free version which gives you pretty much all the features, I believe.
Yeah, that's Avid Media Composer first, those who are interested.
Yeah. And I have downloaded that and tried to use it, but I've never actually managed to get to the editing stage because it's all based on you have to be online to use it. And what it does, I think when you put your files into it, your videos into it, the raw videos, it uploads them to a server so that it can be stored on the software, and you can basically share it with other computers and stuff. So lots of different people can all edit the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is good, but I have never been able to get it to upload the videos fast enough. It's always saying, this will take 30 hours, and I'm like, well, I don't think that's worth it, to be honest. So yeah, and that's my only thing to pick with it, is that I've never actually managed to do any editing with it despite having it on the computer, because it does take way too long to import the video files.
I mean, I would agree with you in terms of that standpoint. It is a very unintuitive editing software. But because my experience with it is that it very much depends on short keys and key commands and binding certain actions to keys. So what I ended up having to do was get a keyboard overlay for my Mac because I didn't have any of the equipment that was specified for Avid Media Composer. So I've just got this kind of overlay, and what I ended up doing was creating some new key shorts to symbols which I could understand, so that when I want to cut something, which is normally done with a mouse and a blade, I could just press the Y button and it would do that. So in a way, you do have to play around with the settings and kind of get to a certain workflow that you like. But I'd certainly say it's not one for the light-minded. And that's why I've gone back to using Premiere Pro, because it's so much easier.
So you found Avid too difficult to continue using, did you?
Yeah, quite difficult, but I do know that in university they will teach me how to use it properly. It's just because I've not had the proper education or training on how to use that software. So besides Premiere Pro and besides Corel Video Studio and Movie Maker, are there any other editing programs that you've used in the past?
Yeah, I have used the GoPro one. I can't remember what it's called now, but it comes what's it called?
Is it like Quick Queue or something?
Quick Story, GoPro Quick. So I have used the GoPro one. I think it's called GoPro Quick Story or something. That's certainly what the output videos are defaulted to anyway. But yeah, I have used that one, which is good because it's on my phone. I think it comes with a GoPro app. So when I'm doing GoPro stuff, you know, if I'm out in the mountains skiing or something, I can, you know, still use the edit GoPro videos without internet in some little log cabin on my phone, so simply and easily, and then I can, you know, export them, and then as soon as I come into data signal, I can post them and stuff, and it makes it look quite sort of professional from that point of view. But I do find some things annoying because it is designed for people who've never really edited anything before, and therefore it tries to do too much for you. So when you open the app and you import the videos, it first comes with like a title slide, and then it puts your videos and it automatically cuts them, which is supposed to be so that, like, if you've got loads of action going on in your GoPro, it will automatically cut to random bits of the video so that it cuts one long boring ski down to lots of little clips of it to make it look professional. And at the end it puts a little GoPro advert basically thing, which just says, you know, GoPro on the screen. And then it also puts music on it and mutes all your clips, which I find actually quite annoying because I have to go through and undo all this stuff it's done and turn off the auto cutting feature, which I think is a bit of a waste of time. So it is frustrating. And then also on the phone, you're sort of, it's got to export its video that it makes, and it puts that on the GoPro app, and then you have to export it off the GoPro app to get it onto your phone. And whilst it's in the GoPro app, it's still using up storage space on your phone because the GoPro app is on your phone. So actually, you end up making about 5 copies of the video, and they could simply do it straight off your phone into a video and use up less space. So that does wind me up as well. So all in all, it's a good ed for being locked in a cabin in the mountains with no signal and only having your GoPro and GoPro videos to choose from. And it's good that it's on your phone and it's always there ready if you need something to edit with. But it can be very annoying, and because they try and cut so many corners and help you out, it's a bit frustrating. So that's the only other editor I've ever used.
Well, I have used another editing software, which I would say is on the cheap side, and that is called Filmora.
Right.
Which is probably one of the most simplified editing programs out there. It's by Wondershare, and basically it's designed around using it for commercial editing. So if you were editing advertisements for companies who are selling a certain product, then Filmora would be the program that you'd use to get the best result.
Well, that sounds okay.
Yeah, because on their website they have a bunch of examples of clients who they've worked for, and they've actually worked for Canon themselves. So they did an advert for Canon for selling the Canon 80D, which is the camera I use.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, it looks pretty good in terms of editing. I mean, they've got the basic features and essentials you'd need to at least edit a cinematic sequence.
Okay.
Okay, but that's all the editing software I've used. So let's do a kind of rating. So from best to worst, so number 1 being the best and 10 being the worst, what would you rate the following editing programs? So we'll do it in order. So at last place, what would you say, which editing program would you say would be at last place?
That's a tough one because obviously in terms of actual sort of usability, Windows Movie Maker, but the problem with that is that Windows Movie Maker is such a brilliant tool for beginners, and the fact that it just comes free on the computer, I think, is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put it in last place, but I do think it's good, and it's a good starting point to get people sort of enticed in editing. So yeah, I'll give it a I'll give it a 5 maybe.
I mean, yeah, I think I agree with you, because the software is quite limited. Like, it allows you to get the basics done. Like, the basics of learning how to make a film you get from Movie Maker. It's very easy and simple to use. So position 9, what would say would be second to last position in terms of editing software?
I'd say that GoPro one, the whatever it's called, Quick Story. It's because it is good because it's always there with you, and it's simple, well, reasonably simple, and you can make reasonably okay videos with it. But it does do all that annoying automatic stuff when you open the app, which does drive me crazy. And the whole thing about it, using up so much space just to make one video, because you have to first get the videos off the GoPro onto the app, and then you have to get the videos into the exported video, which is saved on the app, and then you download it off the app onto your phone. So I just think there are some things which do wind me up about it, which don't necessarily need to be there. They sort of try to put a bit too much effort in. So that one I would put in second to last place. What about you?
Well, I guess it's depending, because it's intuitive in the fact that it does a lot for you, and it's designed to be portable, I would definitely say. But I think I would agree with you in terms of that. So I would put that in 9th place as well.
Yeah.
Okay, 8th place. Now I would say for me, 8th place would have to be Filmora, because even though it's quite simple to use, I would say it's too simple. It's too simple to use because it's designed for the basic editor. Someone who hasn't had that much experience, but is able to cut and trim clips and bring them together in a sequence. And the other thing is that the rendering on that application is so long, and not to mention the fact that at the end of it, unless you buy the actual full-on version, the free version of it, you get given a watermark. So I would say 8th position for this.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Right, so what we're on now, 7th position.
Yeah, 7th position. So we've got Sony Vegas, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, and Avid Media Composer left.
Well, I think in terms of editing capability, I think we should put Corel Video Studio there. Because it is really good, and it has got me this far, and that's what I use. But recently I have, been getting quite annoyed by it, because some things that used to work have stopped working in the new update, and I've tried doing everything that the blokes from Brazil tell me to, change this, change that. But whatever Juan says, it just does not work. So yeah, I am getting a bit frustrated with it. And it's not the best editor. It still has flaws. The video output can sometimes be a bit dodgy, like if you're trying to do chroma key or anything like that. And it does crash a lot as well. So yeah, let's stick that one in 7th place, or whatever number we're on.
7th place.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I would definitely say, I might agree with you, but for what it can do without any glitches or any bugs, it is pretty good. Because I think that was the first time the first program that I used that enabled you to mask objects in, and being able to, let's say, I think it was the magazine short film that we did that allowed you to clone me, essentially, and have me in the same video.
That was okay, but you could actually see the edge of the video. There's no feathering on there or anything, which I think is something they could really add.
Yeah.
So you could see a nice hard edge of the video where I superimposed him over himself.
Yeah, there was a definite edge, but I would agree with you on that front. So 6th place then. So for 5th place, yeah, I'd say number 5, avid media composer, definitely, because it was designed for people who essentially programmed the application, because the first editor to use that piece of software was a coding programmer, and it was designed for people like that who knew very complicated combinations of buttons, hence why the short keys are so hard to learn. So I would definitely say that it is somewhere in the middle, because it is still able to edit at a very high standard, and lots of editors around the world still use it for industry standard productions and films that we see in the cinema. So I'd say that it is capable of being a great editor, but because of our lack of experience with the editing program, it would have to land on number 5. For 4th place, I'd say it's gonna be Sony Vegas. I would have Sony Vegas be 4th place, because it is a definite runner-up to the top. Because it is, I'd say actually now it is competing quite highly with Premiere Pro, because of how much they've incorporated the same formula that Premiere Pro have. So it's a linear-based editor, and it allows you to color grade, edit audio, all in the same application, which is a similar setup in Premiere. So it's like you go through this conveyor belt process. DaVinci Resolve is 3rd place, because there is a lot of speculation as to why this is even classed as an editor in the first place. But it is so good because it allows you to tone in on specific clips and get the fine details and edit the fine details that you wouldn't normally see in Premiere Pro, for example. 2nd place. Yeah, 2nd place, because I said it before, I accidentally plugged it out. 2nd place is Final Cut Pro. And now there's a lot of debating about Final Cut Pro versus Premiere Pro, because Final Cut Pro used to be a very popular application for editing. It used to be very popular, but apparently because of how it's changed the appearance to make it look more visually appealing, and the fact that it used to be a node-based editor, but now it's a linear-based editor, has thrown a lot of people off. But for what it is, and I actually use it quite regularly at the moment, so I would say that is like still a very good editor, and which brings 1st place, drum roll please. First place is Premiere Pro, and I would think you would happily agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it is a shame that they charge so much ludicrous amount of money for it, but yeah, no, Premiere Pro is by far the best that I've come across anyway, in terms of ease of use and the professional output. So yeah, I would certainly agree.
Yeah, Premiere Pro has the whole package. I mean, not just Premiere Pro alone, but the fact that it's linked to such an amazing plethora of other applications, and it allows you to transfer, let's say, your project from Premiere Pro to, let's say, After Effects or Adobe Audition, so that you can like tone in on those small details and refine your project to the absolute maximum it can be. Is definitely one of the reasons why it has won many awards over the years as a high editor. So we'll end on that note there. Thank you for tuning in this week. We talk about editing, and next week we'll be discussing something different. Next week, we'll be discussing films we've loved growing up as a child compared to the films we love now. I'm your host, Jack Timms, and joining me has been Oskar Brennan. But that is us from The Real. Goodbye.
The Real Deal Podcast.